What's up everyone, Ryan Meeks with Escape to Arizona. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do this every Monday. Make sure to subscribe as I put out market updates every week, and I also do a variety of model walkthroughs, community tours, and other exciting videos to help make your move to Arizona that much easier. And if you're looking to buy or sell, feel free to reach out. My information is below. So this week, the Federal Reserve is set to meet and poised to increase the Fed funds rate, from what we're hearing, by 75 basis points or 3/4 of a percentage point in its fight against inflation. Now, the Fed funds rate is the rate that banks lend to each other overnight, and this directly affects short-term loans like credit cards, auto loans, or adjustable rate mortgages. This is said to be the Fed's best tool in its fight against inflation, and in case you haven't heard, the objective is to create less demand, thereby decreasing the rate of inflation. If it costs banks more money to borrow, they're going to have to pass this on eventually to their customers. Keep in mind that more personal items such as credit score, credit history go into the setting of a specific mortgage rate for any client, but this will affect mortgage rates in the future because they eventually have to pass this on to the customer. Now, in March of 2022, the Fed had its first increase in rates by 25 basis points or 1/4%. In anticipation of this hike, mortgage rates went from 3.55% in early February to 4.16% just before the rate hike on March 16th. At this meeting, the Fed announced it would be raising rates 6 more times in 2022. We've seen mortgage rates increase in the past month from 5% to well over 6% today. This is pulling many buyers back behind the sidelines. Now, this is going to lead us to a volume and inventory discussion. Reaction to the increase in rates on March 16th shows a definitive increase in the days of inventory in the Phoenix real estate market. In the 8 weeks that followed this hike, days of inventory increased at the second fastest pace from 15 days to 26 days of inventory. This was the second fastest increase in days of inventory in 6 years, behind only the 2020 pandemic effects, which increased inventory rapidly in March of 2020. This was due to annual sales rate falling and the active listings increasing rapidly. In late July and early August, we saw a slight relief in this increase, however. This is only because active listings grew more slowly, but annual sales also continued to fall at this time. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen housing inventory grow because buyers have been removed from the market due to higher mortgage rates. While our new active listing count per week remains low, demand is unfortunately even lower. Now, what's interesting is volume remains very low. Dollar volume for Q3 remains around $6.5 billion. This is around half of the last year's $13 billion in sales in Q3, and we only have 10 days left in the quarter, so we're probably not going to hit $13 billion in sales. So half the amount of sales. So while interest rates are keeping buyers out of the game for now, many buyers are used to inventory levels from 2020 and early 2022. These levels feel a lot higher than they actually are. If we look at this graph, we can see in 2016, days of inventory reached 100. Now, putting this into perspective, buyers weren't freaking out and prices still moved higher this year, although it's a lot less than they cost today. They moved from $210,000 up to $225,500. The median price moved this far. Social media is also predicting doom and gloom, and it's not just on social media platforms, it's everywhere. Your neighbor's talking about it, you're reading it in the news, so there's a lot of worry amongst buyers. Also, if you tuned in last week, you'll remember that I was talking a lot about Opendoor, or I probably put a short out or something similar, but Opendoor and OfferPad have accumulated 15% of the resale market, and that downward pressure we're feeling is being felt because of them, and they're listing under market just to sell off their inventory. Just as they overpaid on the way up, they are underselling on the way down, and they are very aggressive. For instance, I'm going to give you an example of a home that they purchased in Phoenix. It's at 23229 North 43rd Street. They purchased this for $858,300. And they tried flipping it with a price starting at $965,000. And now they're down to $781,000 with a whopping 117 days on the market. Now, this is a dramatic 19% decrease from their original list price and $77,300 below what they purchased it for. Not to mention what they need to pay in fees to actually sell this house. Many people are still moving to Arizona. The build-to-rent market is booming, with Phoenix leading the way nationally. A few weeks ago, I gave you guys a sort of taste of this with the new home market update. And nationally, Phoenix leads the way with 17,000 total units slated to be completed by 2023. And to put this into perspective, Dallas is second with only 4,200 units projected to be completed. So quite the difference there. And while the MLS doesn't incorporate build-to-rent units, several media reports are claiming the rental market is softening across the country. And we can see this in our data as well. With a flood of new listings, we have 66% or 2,952 being added in the past 4 weeks, as compared with last year's 1,769 within the same time frame last year, previous 4 weeks. Now this is the highest that we've seen in 7 years, with 3,482 and climbing active listings for rent on the MLS in the greater Phoenix area, with 160% more homes now on the market than last year, when it was almost, by the way, impossible to find a rental. Tenants definitely have far more choices and far more negotiating power. Now let's look at NAHB Homebuilder sentiment. Now this number came out this morning actually, and it comes out every month. It's the result of 4 different regions in the USA. It fell for the 9th straight month to 46. 47 was the expected number, which is down from 49 in August. Now this is the lowest level that we've seen since May 2014 outside of the pandemic. And 1 year ago, the gauge stood at 76, just to give you an idea where we were. Sales conditions, traffic expectations, builder confidence, these are all components of the measure, and they all fell, and they were led by the West region. High home prices coupled with lingering doubt about rates struggled really to attract buyers. The median sales price was also $439,400 in July, according to the US Census Bureau. So that didn't help, because prices are getting higher and unaffordable. Incentives like rate buydowns, free amenities, and price drops are among the norm, with home builders attempting these tactics across the US. 25% of them actually attempting this just to get people under contract. Now CMI is a leading indicator of price in the Phoenix metro area, something that realtors use on the regular, and currently it's at 106 across the Phoenix metro area, and it's showing that we're still in a slight seller's market, although this seems to be an untenable position to really argue at this point, isn't it? That was kind of a nervous laugh there. So if we're looking at the Cromford Market Index, 4 cities had CMI improve from the previous month, and this includes Tempe, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, and Chandler. Maricopa, Queen Creek, and Buckeye continue to deteriorate pretty rapidly as supply is high, and it's increasing, especially from new home builders that are now putting their homes on the MLS, increasing that number. So thoughts, while it is not the best time to purchase a home, if you need to get here and need to purchase and you're gonna stay in the home for 7 to 10 years, I still don't think it's a bad move.